All right. So I will use this area here as a range zone. Now, price seems to be trying to form a kind of a double bottom pattern. So we may see price possibly go up, maybe not, but at least we expect some extension up there, possibly to either psychological level or back to that, you know, confluence point. But then we're expecting a reversal. But what is most important is waiting for a clear breakout below this box, and that will lead to a further, bearish movement on the USD JPY. For emphasis again, we're waiting for a clear breakout below this region. Um, please, I need confirmation. Can you hear me? Hello? Please, if you can hear me, just type a
We
yes.
can hear you, sir. We can
All
hear
right.
you.
We
All
can
right.
hear you very well.
Because my MetaTrader is not connecting. That's I want to be sure the network is okay. So that means it's okay. It's just MetaTrader that is not connected yet. All right. So we are expecting a breakout on USD JPY in the course of this week. It could break out outrightly, or it may follow this double bottom pattern, go up and still break out downwards. But most importantly, what we're waiting for is a clear breakout below that rectangle box to trigger a sell on the USD JPY. So we are bearish on the USD JPY for this week. And likewise, I'll still hold on to a bearish outlook on the USD CHF. Likewise, it's possibly correlated with the USD JPY. For the USD CHF, you can see the outlook just like I'm showing now on the daily time frame. We are bearish on the dollar index, so technically we should be bearish on both the USD JPY, USD CHF, and even the USD CAD. For the USD CHF, price closed last week as a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern on the daily time frame at a resistance level with a rising wedge. This week we may experience a retracement and a further breakout downwards. Please mute your device. Okay, so this is the 4 hour. On the 4 hour side, we have this rising wedge. Like I said, we may experience a retracement and a breakout. So what we're waiting for is a breakout. Now, all this setup, at least for the USD JPY, it's actually on a swing trading on 4 hour. USD JPY is 1 hour. The USD CHF is 4 hour. Please let's take note of that. USD JPY, if you're there, you're a day trader, I will encourage you to focus more on the USD JPY. But if you're a swing trader, then you can look at the USD CHF. The breakout will happen is more clearer on the 4 hour for the USD CHF. So we're bearish on both the USD JPY and the USD CHF. Now for Euro USD, now when we have a bearish movement on the USD JPY, USD CHF, we should be looking for a bullish one on the Euro USD. And that's the setup I have for the Euro USD. Okay, like I said, my MetaTrader seems not okay. Let me put it off and put it on again. It's not connecting to the internet. Okay, just a second, please. Okay, it's back. All right, so for the Euro USD, on the weekly time frame for Euro USD, price closed last week. Price touched this support zone. There was a slight touch on this. It's actually a key level. It was a resistance here, a support on this other area. All right. So you can see it was a resistance, support, support. So technically, we'll be looking out for a bullish movement on the Euro USD. So without wasting time, let's just go straight to the 1 hour. And on the 1 hour, this is what we have. We have a falling wedge with already a breakout that is, getting clearer by the hour. But then I will want a clear breakout above this range zone. It's actually in a range zone. So once a new candle breaks out above this range zone, you can trigger a buy on the Euro USD. RSI is already above 50, MACD is already above 0. So it's actually in the bullish zone. We only need the final confirmation of a new candle above this range zone to trigger a buy on the Euro USD. And this is a 1 hour. It's expected to trigger in the course of today. So watch that closely. If you're there, you're a day trader, watch that closely. In fact, you can see that there's now a psychological level from, sorry, not a psychological level. There is now the Fibonacci level rather, which is a confirmation of the fact that we need a new candle above this region. So once a new candle breaks out, we can look at profit in the range of about, let's just say around 20 pips of Fibonacci 50 and about 45 pips to Fibonacci 1.8. So between 20 to about 40 pips is possible on the Euro USD in the course of today. So please watch that very, very closely. All right, so I've analyzed the USD JPY, the USD CHF, Euro USD. Like I said, the dollar, USD CAD 2 is looking bearish, just like we have on the USD JPY and the USD CHF. This is the USD CAD. And for the USD CAD, yeah, from analysis from last week, I've been on the bearish one on this one, downtrend and previous resistance. So I'm expecting a further bearish continuation this week on the USD CAD. Now this is on 4 hour, so it's for swing traders. So I'll be expecting price to drop, possibly go up and break out downwards. RSI clearly below 50 to trigger a sell. So we're bearish on the USD CAD for this week. All right, the other two instruments I'm watching this week will be the GBP JPY and the AUD JPY. All of them swing. All of them. Now, if it is a swing, it doesn't mean that day traders can't trade them. It only means you need to trade with extra caution, and you're only looking for smaller amount of pips compared to a swing trader. And you're not staying so long in the market, So if your strategy can accommodate that, all well and good. Now, for the GBP JPY on the monthly time frame, we can see that price is trading at a resistance level. Just a second. Price is trading at a resistance level on the monthly time frame. You can see the rectangle box there. On the weekly, the market closed last week with a massive rejection candlestick, then a rising wedge. Technically, we're looking for a breakout this week. Yes, it may go up like you've seen the gap created at the beginning of this week. It may still go up, but then ultimately what we're waiting for is the breakout downwards. We can take it down. That's the weekly time frame. On the daily time frame, it's not really looking so clear at the moment, but then let's just watch as the week unfolds. Okay, this is the 4 hour. Let me see something closer here. Okay, I think it's better now. I think day traders can take this also. All right. So if you're there, you're a day trader, the trend, I always tell people the most important thing you're looking out for when you're analyzing is the overall trend. Where is the market going? That is either in the bigger picture. That is your most important focus. Now, like I said, it's possible price may go up, and what is making it clearer may go up a little is because of what looks a lot like an inverse head and shoulder, on this trend line. It may really go up, but honestly, that's not our trade. We don't know how far, that going up will be. But what we are certain of is that if it goes up, I'm seeing it trying to form, this whole zone here being a shoulder head, maybe make a second shoulder and drop. It is that drop that is our main focus and our concern. So we're going to be waiting for it to do any movement it wants to do. But the moment price breaks out below this trend line, you can trigger a sell either as a day trader or a swing trader. It goes for both. And a confirmation to that is that RSI is already below 50. Now, when I say already RSI below 50, I'm not saying enter a sell now. Please take note of what I'm saying. We follow the pattern. The pattern of rising wedge says that entry will be below the neckline. So we have to wait for that clear pattern to form. So once we wait for that pattern to form, a new candle forms below the neckline region, we can trigger a sell on the GBP JPY. So we're bearish on the GBP JPY on 1 hour. And if you want to take it on 4 hour, which is a swing, you're still very much free to do that. And if price breaks out as anticipated, two things could happen. Depending on the level of volatility, if the volatility is very strong, price may come to hit this trend line. But then that may be a lot for some of us to cope with. That would be as much as about 300 pips. But then let me give you what is safely possible using the Fibonacci tool. All right, so using the Fibonacci tool, a Fibonacci 50 target can give as much as about 60 pips there, and Fibonacci 61.8 can give about 150 pips. I think that is reasonable enough. If you're doing day trading, you can capture like 60 pips. That is a lot easy. But then if you're a swing trader and you want to wait to ride all the trend down to 300, well, that's what swing trading is meant for. So just know that as a swing trader, you can target about 60 pips, and sorry, as a day trader rather, you can target about 60 pips, and a swing trader can target as much as 300 pips on this expected move on the GBP JPY. And similarly, the AUD JPY is another one that could give such massive movement this week. In fact, this AUD JPY, I mentioned it briefly last week in my analysis, but I said I didn't want to go too far because I know sometimes when I give some of this long-term analysis, people just jump on it even when it's not yet ripe. So I'm always very cautious. Yeah, if you remember, I was saying it last week, I think it should be Thursday or maybe Friday, that we have a big resistance on the multi-time frame. You can see the first resistance up here and a second resistance here where price hits that other resistance. And I said I'm anticipating a major drop. And I said in the big picture, I'm seeing the head and shoulder. If this forms, I can tell you that for a long time to come, there's a possibility of the AUD JPY dropping to the tune of uh, I think over 3,000 to close to 4,000 pips in the nearest future. But then that's not for that actually I would say is for those who are position traders. All right. So but let's look at what is more realistic for us for now. So price hit that second resistance last week and closed there and formed a rising wedge on the daily time frame. Okay, before we talk about the rising wedge on the daily time frame, on the weekly time frame, the market closed as this sharp rejection candle. This means we are looking for a sell this week. Yes, price may go up to hit the resistance or just dance around it for a while, but ultimately we're expecting a massive drop on the AUD JPY this week. So that's it on the weekly. On the daily, we'll go to 4 hour, just like we did for the AUD, for the GBP JPY. Now, this one is not as sharp as how we saw the head and shoulder on the GBP JPY, but notwithstanding, let me check it again on 4 hour. Okay, I think to be a bit safe, we'll be looking to take a sell on this one once price breaks out below this region. This should be a swing. Use the GBP JPY as a day trade and swing, while the AUD JPY should be purely swing. Wait for price to break out below this and below the, I think just below this whole area. Once a new candle breaks out below, you can trigger as a purely swing. It's going to be more of a swing, fast swing to position because it's even sharper on the daily. But then let's look at this. If price, okay, if price breaks out below that lower region, like I mentioned, you need to take note of this Fibonacci level. You need to take note of this Fibonacci level, because if price touches there can be some slight retracement. At least from that region, you can capture, from the region I'm proposing as the entry region, you can capture at least 50 pips. If price touches this Fibonacci level, there could be some retracement to retest the trend line before the final drop. I think this may look a bit complicated, but some of us for now. Let's just ignore it for now and stick more with the GBP JPY. You know, the GBP JPY is clearer, both to 1 hour and 4 hour. This actually is more of a position setup. It's more of a position trading setup. Daily time frame will be the best. It will actually be the best to enter this, because you need to wait for price to clearly break out below this Fibonacci level. Then you can ride the trend, you know, all the way. So let's put our attention more on the GBP JPY 1 hour and 4 hour for this week. All right, that's I think that should be all from my end. Let me confirm. That should be all from my end for now. If I see any other setup, I will definitely intimate us. GBP AUD, I had a bullish outlook last week. The massive break, you know, already pushed it. It already pushed it. I remember clearly this one. I told us uptrend on the weekly time frame with a support and price on Friday, you know, to end the week. You know, I always tell us be very, very cautious on Fridays. There is always a massive volatility in the market on Fridays. It doesn't happen all the time like that, but last Friday was just one of those days when we had, you know, that massive breakout. All right, so that's going to be all from my end this morning. So a little recap. This morning we've analyzed the dollar index where we're bearish, and as such we're bearish on the USD JPY, we're bearish on the USD CHF, we're bearish on the USD CAD. We're bullish on the Euro USD on 1 hour. We're bearish on the GBP JPY on both 1 hour and 4 hour. So those are all the key instruments we've analyzed for today, and it's also analysis for the week. All right, so I'll go through the comment section now and attend to the requests I'm seeing, and we'll round up for this session. Okay, Mr. Yeti Hapan is asking me to check GBP NZD. So let's quickly run through that. Okay, yes, I mentioned this last Friday. We had a candle that closed sometime last week as a massive rejection candle with a rising wedge and resistance. So I said technically I was looking out for a bearish breakout, but then on Friday, price pushed to the other side, you know, testing the resistance level again. Now this time around, it's forming a head and shoulder pattern. Sorry, that's not too good. A shoulder, a head, a second shoulder, and it will still drop. I still maintain the bearish outlook. I still maintain the bearish outlook on the GBP NZD. Still bearish. Peradventure, you already entered. If you can still hold on for a reversal, you can still hold on. If you can still do that, still hold on. It's forming a head and shoulder, and in the course of the week, I'm expecting it to reverse downwards. Now, peradventure, you have not made any entry. Yeah, that's good. Just wait for price to break out below this neckline region to trigger a sell downwards. And we can be looking at profit in the range of about 50, let's just say 50 pips to Fibonacci 50, about 130 pips to Fibonacci 61.8, and about 240 pips to Fibonacci 78.6. So we're still bearish on the GBP NZD. GBP USD, okay, we're bearish on the dollar, and as such, an instrument like GBP USD will be bullish, just like we have a bullish outlook on the Euro USD. But then let's just go straight there and get a clear analysis. Okay, so on the weekly time frame last week, price, you know, hit this support zone on the weekly time frame. Technically, we're looking for a bullish breakout this week. Let's go to the daily. Nothing much on the daily, okay, other than the fact that we have price making some lower lows here and down to this point. So that also gives us a bullish outlook. 4 hour, nothing much on 4 hour except a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern, which is still pointing to a bullish breakout. And 1 hour, we have a falling wedge. Now, this is the same pattern I'm seeing or I saw earlier on the Euro USD. We have a range zone at the moment. If price breaks out, if a new candle break out above this region, we're expecting a bullish breakout. RSI is already above 50, MACD is already below zero. Sorry, it's above zero, pardon me. So we are bullish on the GBP USD, but we need to wait for a new candle to break out above this range zone. But peradventure, you're already on a buy on GBP USD. I will say wait, just hold on and wait for price to break above that zone. It's in a bullish zone already. You're welcome, Mr. Akpan. All right, for those asking about gold, I've always maintained the side of caution on gold, even though it's been trending up, but it's not always been given clarity as regards entry. And we don't just enter blindly, or let me just say, I don't always enter trades blindly until I see a clear setup. So that it's trending up does not mean just, at least for me, it doesn't mean just enter a buy without caution. So currently, it's making another high. Last week, it got to its highest price ever at $4,000 per ounce. And we can see the trend is bullish, but then this is what I will advise. So it made a high here and price broke out above that high. That's on the 4 hour time frame. So in the course of today, if price retraces to retest this previous resistance as a support, then we can look for a continuation, you know, breaking out above that region. So let's go down to 15 minutes time frame. So if price retests this area, we can be looking out for a breakout. Now, if we can get a trend line to break out, perfect. But if not, we might as well, if there's a retest to that previous resistance on support, we may now look, if there is no trend line to drop, we may look out for price breaking above this high to now trigger a buy. If there's no trend line, just there's no worries. Just wait for a retest and a breakout of a new candle above this area and you trigger a buy. All right, so that's my outlook on gold. You're welcome, Abdul Aliyu. Okay, so I think I've attended to all the requests I'm seeing here. Okay, finally, I'm seeing BTC from Mr. Okon. Okay, now please be cautious with BTC around this period after this massive uh, dump that happened on Friday. Trade BTC with a lot and a lot of caution. All right, so with that being said, what is happening to BTC? Okay, price hit a support. That's a support zone on the daily time frame. And yesterday we had price close more like a reversal stuff over there, both on the daily time frame. This is 4 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes. All right, now looking at it from the daily time frame angle. If price breaks out above this recent high, we may anticipate a bullish continuation. What is my reason for that? One, this very sharp rejection candle, and the fact that the candle of yesterday closed same high, the body closed as the same length as the previous body, which is the red. The green and the red, they are like the same height. That's an indication of a reversal. So two valid reasons why I'm looking at a potential bullish breakout. Then we'll go to 1 hour. Now you can see on 1 hour, the current candle is already trying to test that resistance zone. So if a new candle breaks out above this zone, you may trigger a buy. But I would advise maybe you shouldn't stay too long, you know. But the other side, trade based on your own personal risk appetite. Let me use that word. So if price breaks out above that area, it may target this previous area now can become a resistance. Price may target this area. All right, that's my outlook on BTC USD. All right, that's it. So that's the end of the analysis for this morning, for this uh for this weekly outlook, for this week. Yeah, definitely we'll have other sessions as the week unfolds. Don't forget to join us by 12:30 p.m. for our afternoon analysis session. If you're there, you are yet to be registered on the PU Prime platform. You are not yet trading with PU Prime. Then I'll encourage you to get started by opening a live trading account. You can get across to me to get started, with that. All right, so that'll be the end of the analysis session this morning. Do take care, trade safe, and have a wonderful and a great trading week ahead. Bye bye.